Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on Point of View. Now, Point of View is obviously a program that is tailor made to make sure that we get you acquainted with what has been happening during the week, and then we get to ask for you to give a view or to give a review of the different stories that we have for you each and every week. Of course, my host, Chaza, is here, obviously, to pick it up. Good evening, Chaza. How are you doing today? All right. So it seems like Chaza is having a little bit of some problems out there. But hey, I am Lance Sani Banda. And of course, good evening. Welcome again. Remember that views expressed on this program do not represent those of Ubuntu channel. Therefore, we are calling out to you, our viewer out there, to come through despite the different platforms that you are watching, you are using to watch us right here, to come through, express a view, express a concern, comment on the stories that we have for you. So the studio link is shared right away in the comments box. Studio link is shared with you right away in the comments box. All that you have to do is simply click on it, join us in the studios, and be part of the panel. This is what we call chintomentove, some kind of stuff like that, because we want to hear from you, best from you, so that you get to react to different stories, how they hit you, and how you got to understand them. And of course, without wasting much of the time, or maybe before getting into that, let me get to remind you that you can get to catch Ubuntu on Facebook via our Facebook page. You can also get to find us on YouTube, which is Ubuntu Channel Zambia, as well as on Twitter. So on YouTube, you get to subscribe. Apart from subscribing, make sure that you hit on the bell so that each and every time Ubuntu Channel is live, you are notified that Ubuntu Channel is live. And today there is this particular program discussing this different topic altogether. Then on Twitter, of course, follow us. We'll be able to follow you back. Plus, not forgetting on Facebook, follow us, like, so that we can be able to be moving together in one accord. So, like I said, without wasting much of your time, let's get to our first story that has made trends this particular week. Of course, after that, we get to come back here inviting you, our viewer, to come through into the studio. If you can't come through into the studio, leave a comment and we'll be glad to read that comment from you, because this program is tailor-made for you. Let's get to look at the first clip and then we come back on the other side. Good evening. Well, as we wait, obviously, for our first news item to come through and also to get aired or to get played, let's get to go through these instructions once more or a little bit. Remember that you can watch Ubuntu channel via the different platforms. That is on Facebook, we are Ubuntu Channel Zambia. On YouTube, we are Ubuntu Channel Zambia, as well as on Twitter, we are Ubuntu Channel Zambia. Make sure that you get to do the needful, and as well as make sure that you get to invite your friends, to invite their friends, to invite their neighbors, and get acquainted with information right here, because at Ubuntu Channel, we believe in sharing. Remember, I am because we are. So without you, I am not. And without me, you are not. Therefore, together we get to move in one accord, and we get to move in oneness and in togetherness. This is Point of View. Point of View is a program that is tailor-made for you, our viewer out there, to come through, get to review different trending stories that trended in a week. We are more like looking at all the stories from Sunday to Saturday. Let's get to look at them which one made news, how did you react to it. Let's get feedback from one another. We would even say news feedback. So let's get feedback from one another. Let's get feedback from you. Let's find out how different stories got to affect you and how different stories got it to you. Chaza, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, thanks. How are you doing, Lance?
I am doing fine, thank you. And how are you?
I'm pretty fine also.
Okay, awesome. So let's get to look at our first story, and then when we come back, please make sure that you take us through.
It is business as usual for these vendors at Lusaka's Kabwata market, while stands inside are half empty. This situation hasn't settled those trading from inside. It is for this reason, I'm told, there is inertia to pay levies to the council.
Tatulipira levy twalaba pera fish abantu baba pansi kale ba council balebumba bali abalepisha emisalo alepisha amatomato alepisha amadere balebekata baba pokolola twaleshitishako nombe litakuwa.
They are calling on government to address their concerns.
No market naisha 1981 twaleshitisha kale na muri bakaunda twaleshitisha sana na fantu takuwa li market kulya nomba hapa na tuchola watu afweko ba new dawn watu afweko bingishi bali abantu ngeshi nefere rumbula new dawn ninshi bali trefaya ifipia.
The ones selling outside the market have their reasons for not wanting to trade from inside.
Okay, nista bale kila market inga tabala tabashitisha pantu bena badanda ulafe yonse myaka yonse badanda ulafe tabashitisha nafa bena chimochi nefe tabaleshitisha bena
masi ngasema standi yatu isebente batangena mkati hao ona bate bana mastandi yao mja mkati so nefe na mastandi yatu banapanja chimozi bozolo munga ku city market muona bambire bali mu city market mkati bena ngo bali panja.
But local government permanent secretary Mambo Hamaundu has a challenge for the councils.
We want a situation where structures which are built at a great cost to the public are utilized for the intended purpose. I think that going forward, we will not allow the local authorities to sit back and not exercise powers which have been vested in them. They have a responsibility to show people where they're supposed to trade from.
Memory Buku, ZNBC News in Lusaka.
Thank you so much.
Over to you, Chaza.
All right, thank you so much, Lance. And just before we went to the first story of the week that we had experienced some connectivity challenge there, but fortunately everything came to be smoothened. Yeah, right on the other side, Lance, I would actually throw it back to you to actually, give us your viewpoint on this story.
Well, thank you so much, Chaza. As you know, council really has a lot on its plate. Council really has a lot that it needs to work on too. And this issue of traders or marketeers has really been a thorn in the flesh of the councils. Yes, quite all right. Some time back, we used to have council police that would move in and, get to apprehend these so-called illegal traders that trade outside marketplaces, and then would see a little bit of sanity. After that, it went back to business as usual, or same old story, as I would put it. It's very sad to actually see that spaces in markets are there, but people still decide not to get into the markets, to go and trade their different merchandise and goods in marketplaces. Reasons why markets or infrastructure is built up in an area so that people can trade in it is because that is a designated area where one, needs to go and buy their different merchandise from. That's an area where one needs to go and obviously get a certain service, because this is what has been put up in that area. So it's very sad to actually see that council is also losing on revenue, because you've heard from the marketeers that are inside. City Gulisa, so why TDP council? Truth to it, most of them do not pay levies because they feel that council has deliberately left it out that people will be selling from outside the marketplaces, and then they have more business than those that are inside the market. Council really has a huge role to do here, Chaza. The council needs to come up with deliberate policies that suffice a trader is given a trading spot in a market, built up infrastructure where government has spent money so that they can trade their merchandise there. Suffice they move out deliberately to go outside, there should be a certain charge that should be put to there. We have to bring back sanity to the different communities that we come from, Chaza. It's very disheartening, truly. You go in a market, you find stands and stores very empty. You go outside, you have people squatting in front of shops, people squatting anyhow and anywhere. It's very bad. At some point, I liked what Kitwe City Council did. The time they were getting rid of street vendors. I think that was around ShopRite area in Kitwe. What Kitwe Council did, they were not punishing street vendors. What they were doing was actually to apprehend a customer that decides to go and buy from a vendor. Okay, so we need to store a certain type of law, or we need to put up something that will criminalize or that will punish a customer who decides to buy goods and merchandise from somebody who is not designated in a place which has been built for them to offer their services or to sell their merchandise from. From there, Chaza, believe me, you will have people deciding to enter into the market to buy what they want, to get a service of what they want, unlike going to the streets, because they know that if caught, there is a certain charge which is put to it, or there is a certain something that is attached to that. So council really needs to work in those ends. Council really need to start moving in that direction. Do not punish the trader, punish the customer. Only when you panel beat the mind of a customer to say buying from somebody who is not in a designated selling point is a crime, then we will see people getting back in markets.
Yeah, I think you are right, and there's a conflict of interest here from the traders. We have those traders that are in the market inside there, and they're saying there's no business because of those that are actually having stands outside the market. And those that are outside, they are saying the market is full, and so there's nowhere we can actually be put. There are no stands, there are no tables for us inside. This is why we are outside here selling. So now, this illegality, they are selling from outside, for some time. This illegal, activity has been there for some time. Now, the question is, if truly inside it is full, how then should the situation be treated? Should they just be removed from where they are and thrown to the wind? Or should an alternative be created for them? And yet again, regardless of the situation, the fact is that these traders that are trading outside the market, they are trading illegally. So it all depends on the approach that the city councils would actually, undertake in terms of removing them, because removal is the ultimate goal. So I would like to see that, the councils get to react and bring sanity as regards, trading. And if that can be done, we saw a lot of complaints, when they removed the mobile money booths, and there was an outcry for an alternative, and we heard from the previous program that indeed an alternative was created. So we are yet to see if an alternative was created or not, but the ultimate is actually to bring sanity in the trading areas, in the streets, and in the towns. For now, I think we can get straight to the next story, and on the other side, we get to react to it. This is Ubuntu channel, and you are watching and listening to news of the week or stories of the week on the program called Point of View.
Thieves have invaded the stored Mwansabombwe District Administration construction site, stealing towels, glass panes, among other things. A check by Prime TV News at the construction site found that the contractor has abandoned the project without a caretaker, a move which has angered Mwansabombwe Council Chairperson Tirio Chungu.
Look at what they are damaging here. There's a lot of vandalism. It's very sad that people are stealing now the grass panes and they are stealing the towels. It's very, very sad. Okay, I'm very disappointed with the vandalism which is taking place here at the council administration. This structure has been stored for 3 years now since the contractor left the site, and there's no security which has been provided here from the contractor to keep this vandalism. So people now are coming here to steal the grass panes and the towels. Everything is being vandalized here.
The building, which is almost complete, has turned to be a hiding place for bats, as seen here. Mr. Chungu is appealing to central government to complete the infrastructure in order for the district to start using it.
I'd like to plead to the government so that they can speed up this process, so that my officers can shift in this good building and finish up so that they can be working in a good environment, and that will motivate them to perform, so that we can move Mwansabombwe to higher heights.
As at now, the Mwansabombwe Town Council workers have turned these structures into offices.
They are not working well. They are working in the offices which are squeezed, because we are just using 3 houses which we have turned into the offices. They don't have privacy in the offices that they are working from. So I would like...
Meanwhile, these 31 houses are almost complete.
The major causes of the delay, I think, is the payments. The contractor is on course, so he's waiting for the payments. Once he gets paid, he's going to get back on site, according to him. And I'm just appealing to the central government if they can speed up the issues of the payment of these 20 houses, so that the council workers and the development ministries can move into these houses.
Reporting for Prime.
That is the story of a contractual obligation that the contractor has, and before seeing it to fruition, then they get to abandon the place. Your reaction, Lance?
It makes a very sad scene that actually the infrastructure has turned into a bat's hiding arena, as the reporter had put it. You know, when you are entering contractual, when you're entering into a contract with a second or third party, you know what you are entering into. A breach of the contract can easily cost you a lot more. In this case, obviously, we are talking about this Mwansabombwe district office that is supposed to be completed. The houses were quite alright, are reportedly to almost completing. But what then happens? Already, what I am talking about to say, it makes you incur extra costs if you tend to breach the contract. In this case, we are seeing the house or those offices being ransacked. People, first of all, maybe out of not having employment, out of them having nothing to do, and maybe thinking that as a people they haven't benefited anything from the leadership that has been there. So the only way to benefit is, let's take a share of what is being built, which is vandalism. A very bad vice, actually, from the people practicing on their own infrastructure, because as much as they are vandalizing that infrastructure, if it stays for 5-6 years without completion, who are they going to blame? No one. They can't go back to government and say you did not build this or you did not do this, because government has tried or government is trying, and then at the end of the day you are going there to ransack your own building. That's not government's building. It is the building of the locals out there. People that will be sitting in those offices are just representatives of you that have sent them there to represent you on that note. So it's extra cost for the government. Towers have been stolen or have been stolen. Glass panes have been stolen. And obviously, manje tizaona na ceiling boards vazamba kuba. Why? Because government has not maybe done its part in the issue of maybe lipira the last payment of money, because I'm sure the first batch was dispatched, hence the reason why that project is there. But then we are talking about the second or final batch, which government is supposed to release and give to this particular contractor. Chaza, this is not the first contractor. We have seen many contractors abandoning site. Just this week, I was in Chongwe in Luimba Ward, where I was doing some digging on the reasons why the road network is bad there. When government in the previous regime had released funds to connect that road with the bituminous standard and everything, only to find that the contractor abandoned his site. In fact, what the contractor did, even, he left his machinery there on the site and he never reports for work. Why? Government has not done its part in terms of releasing the other vital funds that it's supposed to release for the construction to continue or for the construction to be ongoing. So this is what makes our government overspend, or this is what makes government incurring expenses which were not planned for, expenses which were not budgeted for. These are the little things that causes that. So the government needs to look into these issues, that as they get into these contracts of building or constructing anything, they should see to it that their monetary obligation must be met, and it should be possible for them that they will meet it and it will go to that. So we just hope that this project gets to be finalized. The council chair there complains to say they have turned houses into offices. So you find that the secretary to the director palibe na demarcation ye ilipo, maybe demarcation chene utanje table ya director ilipaja, ya secretary ilipaja. How will the director have a meeting with either an investor or whoever that comes into the district that wants to talk to the director? How will the district commissioner have a meeting if his council chairperson table yake ilipaja na veve ilipaja bonse vasonjererana? There's nothing like, oh, let me knock into the district commissioner's office. So these are the things that we need to look into, Chaza. For government not to incur more costs, they need to expedite such projects. Do not start a project if you know that you have insufficient funds. That's my view on that one.
I totally agree with you, because to every contract there are parties involved, and to this particular contract where a contractor has been engaged to do some construction, we have this contractor and also the government. And, if the contractor is not paid according to how the government is supposed to pay, you'd find that, in the first days or months at the beginning of the contract, they may, bring in some guards to guard the premises. But along the way, money runs out. What do? They have no means of actually, bringing personnel to actually, guard the premises. And eventually, the site will be abandoned. And just like you have said, by the end of the day, the owner of the contract, or rather the government side will be actually, the losing side, because whatever has been vandalized, whatever has been stolen, the government will actually need to make good of that. Depending on the circumstance, they may bring in the same contractor, or, probably even bring in another contractor, which is, another expense at all. So both parties to the contract are supposed to fulfill their obligations so that certain rights could actually, arise from that contract. This is Ubuntu Channel, ladies and gentlemen. We are still here on your point of view. Let us go straight to the next story, and on the other side, we get to see you.
I'm just wondering where.
We're still waiting for the next story there.
I'm just wondering where this president has been hiding all that long.
Joy and smiles on their face. These are some of the newly recruited teachers in Kawamba district of Wapara province who have come to deliver a message to President Hakainde Hichilema through His Royal Highness Chief Mukanta of Chishinga people.
And we just came here to the palace so that our able chief can extend how happy we are and our gratitude to our president for selecting us. It hasn't been easy. Some of us here completed in 2014, 2015, 2016, and we tried by all means. Recently, back, when we want to be recruited, we need to have at least someone whom you know, someone to give a file to, someone you need to talk to every day, trying to remind them over what you have applied. But right now, we did it and everything was done without having connections. So that's one thing that we are really happy about.
The newly recruited teachers say in the recent years it was not easy to be recruited unless paying any bribe.
For the past years, we used to see recruitment going on, taking place, replacements, and people were trying to ask for favor, okay? They were trying to ask for some money for us to be recruited. Some people were saying, no, you need to bring some cash and everything. But looking at what has happened, we spent nothing. We just did our application, we submitted, and everything went well. So I just want to say thank you.
Selection were just free and fair. There was nothing like, no, because of this, no, for you to be recruited, you have to pay something. No, there was nothing like that. I just want to thank the Almighty God and also the New Dawn government. May God bless you. I'm very much happy. I don't even know how to express my happiness.
Sarah Mandwe, a widow who has been struggling to raise her children, can finally smile after her name appeared in the paper.
Because being a widow, and I've stayed for so many years, I completed some time back. Now I'm a civil servant. I thank you, more especially our president, for considering us as women.
Max Fordicalave, who has been volunteering for 3 years while getting 500 kwacha, is happy that now he is a civil servant.
In the streets. Volunteering at Kawamba Primary School there for 3 years, getting a 500 kwacha. Fellow teachers, now I'm a civil servant. Yes, I'll be getting huge sums of money. Yes, in the New Dawn government, I know. Anyway, all what I'm saying is many thanks to the president, Hakainde Hichilema.
Reporting for Prime TV News, I'm Jubili Malambo in Kawambwa District, Wapra Province.
Big smiles there and loud laughter. Are you getting me now? Lance, are you getting me now? Are you getting me now? Unfortunately, it appears there's no sound there. If my fellow host can actually take it up there. Are you getting me now? Lance, are you getting me now?
Yes, I can get you.
Okay, thank you so much. It's great. So like I was saying before, I lost my audio. I was saying that we could see big smiles and we could hear loud laughters from the newly recruited teachers there. It's a great thing to see a great number.
All right. Yes, I can get you.
It's a great thing to see such a huge number, to be recruited at the same time. I will throw it out to you, Lance. You give us your reaction, then I'll come in on the other side.
All right. Thank you so much, Chaza. And of course, it's great smiles, all joy right there. It's not only in one province. Trust me, countrywide, there is serious jubilation because so many people waited and wanted to get employed as teachers. They've trained most of them, or some of them that have been picked are those obviously that finished in 2019, 2018, 2017, and they were not employed. Hence the reason why you could see the joy, you could see the excitement, you could see everything, blanketed in one. Chaza, if my mathematics is correct, at least we now have only a deficit of 58,504 teachers that have remained on an unemployed rate after the New Dawn government picked over 30,000 teachers that were recruited recently. Now, this is not a small number, it's a huge number, and this is only in one single year, meaning that come next year, obviously another batch of teachers will be recruited. As it goes on, recruitment gets to continue like that, and the recruitment also, or employment gets to fall in place, gets to move in that manner or in that way, because that is what it is, or that's how it gets like that. Everybody was excited. It's not only teachers that have been employed, by the way, Chaza. We have real estate agents that have been employed, because obviously if somebody will be traveling to Mwansabombwe to go and teach from there, they need a place to stay in too. So if I am a local resident of Mwansabombwe, I have flats, obviously I have some income coming through from this teacher recruitment. So this has widened up, or it's opening up a lot of economic opportunities for the locals, for different people. And trust me, where we need to say kudos, let's get to appreciate. This is a good gesture. This is a good thing that the New Dawn administration has finally actualized. I know there was some impatience here and there where people were talking about, no, they are late or wherever that goes about. But at least the New Dawn government has managed to deliver in that aspect, on that manner. And trust me, it's all kudos to the teachers. Congratulations to them. I just hope that they get to deliver their services diligently, qualitatively, and do not bring in the laissez-faire attitude. Because sadly, again, we being human beings and with that tag on in a civil servant, manje, I want to be waking up at 7, Chaza. We always bring, I don't know why we always bring in such things when it comes to work and everything. So them being civil servants, this actually means that their core is greater than what they were doing before. This time around, we need to see them deliver. We need to see them love their work. We need to see them put up an attitude that they were meant for this. They are ready to teach our children. They are ready to educate the nation, and they are ready to deliver the next set of leaders who are learned, leaders who are informed, and leaders that have gone through at least a channel of good, respectable, job-loving teachers that have been recruited. Chaza, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Lance. And yes, indeed, just like you earlier indicated, you know, this recruitment has got a ripple effect. It's not only these people that have been recruited that are the beneficiaries of the recruitment, because already I actually saw, you know, a complaint coming from, you know, the private, you know, school teacher, something could be an association or so, that private schools are actually, you know, crying foul because a lot of them have lost a great number of, you know, teachers in private schools. So what this means is that in as much as, you know, those people have actually left private schools, we now have job vacancies. So a lot more that, you know, have not been recruited by the government will still be employed by, you know, private schools. And by so doing, we have, you know, other people getting to benefit from the recruitment itself. You have also talked about, you know, real estate, you know, those people that are providing accommodation will definitely get to benefit from there. Not only that, these same, you know, teachers are now going to have the capacity even to employ, you know, garden boys, maids, and so on and so forth. So by the end of the day, even families are going to have, you know, great benefit from these teachers that have been recruited. So what we say is definitely, you know, hats off to the government, and it's a great commendation for the job well done. And we have seen some, you know, political, you know, leaders and political parties that, you know, are genuine. They have actually, you know, come in to appreciate what has happened, what the New Dawn government has done. I actually also saw Chishimba Kambwidi, you know, commending, you know, the government on this job well done. We definitely also join in and get to commend the government, and would like to see most, if not all, of the promises that, you know, the UPND, you know, promised the people before voting, they get into fruition and accomplished by the government. Let's get to the next story, and on the other side, we do our analysis.
A spiral effect of government's recruitment of over 30,000 teachers, job advertisements by some private schools have flooded social media and some selected school notice boards. The Private Schools and Colleges Association says the education private sector has lost over half of its teachers through government recruitment, therefore creating vacancies.
Out of 100,000 teachers that applied, there are still 70,000 teachers who have not been employed. So those who are not in employment at the moment, who have not been picked by government, they are free to apply in the private sector. There are a lot of places. Yeah, because I'll give you an example of some schools. I know of a school that has lost almost 40 teachers. It's a private school. It had 90 teachers, and the 40 teachers have been employed in government.
Association Vice President Peter Chilea, however, has a plea to make to government.
these teachers who have been employed, because we're looking at those who are handling grade 7 classes, if they can be allowed to just go until the end of the term, so that there's no interruption. A child is in grade 7, has to change the teacher just toward the end of the term. Sometimes it may affect the performance of the learners.
Meanwhile, National Union of Private and Public Educators of Zambia, NUPE's President Victor Muyomba, has called for the unemployed teachers to take advantage of the vacancies in the private schools.
So our advice to those that may not have been picked by government is to be on the lookout. Let them move from one private school to another. And I think even from the way these schools are advertising, you can tell that they are indeed in dire need of teachers, and urgently so, because the advertisements are everywhere. In some cases, because of the overwhelming responses they get from the teachers, they would advertise, but simply on certain forums.
The union has since called on the private sector to offer competitive conditions of service in order to raise their human resource retention rate. Leandro Hamwala, ZNBC News in Lusaka.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't
There is a reaction, coming from the private schools sector there. Job opportunities have been created. And at the same time, there's a concern as regards, those teachers that have been handling examination classes there. And there's also a concern as regards retention. How much is it that, the private school is offering in order to keep this teacher away from, being recruited by the government? So failure to which, teachers do not hesitate. When the government, gets to recruit them, they have, no reason to stay because of the difference in emoluments. There's no retention there. Your reaction, Lance, to this?
Thank you so much, Chaza. Immediately after the shortlisted names appeared in the local tabloids or in the newspapers, I took it to Twitter, asking people to say, what kind of an impact is this recruitment going to have to the private schools, especially owing to the fact that most teachers that have been recruited are those that were teaching in the private schools. And trust me, I got a very overwhelming response from the Twitter family, which talked about, yes, you're talking about emoluments, people talked about pension and everything. So I asked, really, what ripple effect will this have on the private schools? Because obviously we know that private schools have even lost most dependable teachers that they depended on, well qualified, well vested with information. They've lost them. They are going into government, or they've gone into government as government teachers. Therefore, what are private schools supposed to do for them to keep their staff despite government recruiting most people, despite government putting out an advert that they are recruiting? Obviously, it's what NUPES and Priska has called for, the issue of these private schools. It's high time that they up their game. How do they up their game? They should be competing with government schools. We shouldn't have private schools that are offering peanuts to teachers, or because there is no teacher recruitment or employment, therefore you want to exploit them, you want to ride on their lack of job so that they can offer a service to you with conditions that are not favorable for a human being or for a professional. The private schools need to up their game. Private schools need to see to it that despite government advertising for jobs in the teaching sector, they won't suffer a case which we had in the report that out of 90 from one school, 40 were picked. We shouldn't see that case. And somebody, I think we were even joking this morning with a friend to say, I have seen a school where the owner of the school, it's a private school, the owner of the school got picked as well. Nayo an opportunity. Alasaka application. Picking. What happens to the school? Okay. So these are the things that we need to look at. Private schools should not ride on the non-availability of employment in the sector. Private schools should up their game. Private schools should offer emoluments that would keep an employee with them. Many people are coming out to say, no, these teachers decided to apply in government schools because there's NAPSA, they have job security, there are all these other emoluments that are involved. But hey, NAPSA is not only in government, NAPSA is everywhere, including in private institutions. It's not only in private institutions. So you can't tell me because of NAPSA somebody ditches their work. But anyway, I see we have another guest in the studio, so I would leave it here, Chaza.
Thank you so much, Lance. I have seen we've been joined by Himba there. Himba, good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Chaza, and good evening, viewers. Thank you so much, Chaza.
Please go ahead with your viewpoint.
Chaza, the issue of recruitment of teachers, believe me, I say bravo to the New Dawn government. That's a great achievement. There are a number of issues that we can talk about concerning this issue. One, we can talk about, remember the president when he was addressing the nation some time back, he said you should be ticking, have a list. So we are ticking. So we've ticked. Recruitment of teachers is done. We are ticking. Then secondly, if we talk about, government schools losing teachers, I think for me, it's a good thing. As Lance has said, it's a very, very good thing. The private schools now, they will learn not to give peanuts to the teachers, and they will learn to look after these teachers, and which means the private sector will now start to offer packages which are very attractive to the teachers, so that even when the government recruitment comes, they will not lose teachers, which means development is coming, even at individual level and at house level. Even the basket at family level, the food basket, everyone will be able to afford. So the private sector should just sit down, go back to the drawing board and think, what are we going to do? What are we going to offer our teachers for them to be attracted, and such that even when the government recruitment comes, they will not run for it. And again, for those that have been recruited, we encourage them to work hard, and we say congratulations to them. That require makapu ya tea at the government. Tea break. This in government, every time, baenda ku tea break wa madam. Baenda ku tea break wa sir. We don't want that. Can they go and work and deliver? We want to have educated Zambians, responsible Zambians, disciplined Zambians. That's what we want to see. Not vana at madam at kutendo gulira madam vitumbua, madam balichenge. You know, that kind of thing. So can they take sanity in the education industry? We want to see that sanity. And there's a group of people I would want to talk to this evening. It's those that applied and they've been left out. Please, my dear sisters, my dear brothers, mango taipila pamo. Your time is coming. God's time is the best. Committing suicide is not the best. Losing hope in life is not the best. We've heard that people are committing suicide. Honestly speaking, yes, there are a lot of challenges. Somebody would go and they've got a lot of expectations and they've got a lot of hope. So ingalaki ya kupita, you shouldn't take it like you're an encased person or there's nothing that will come for you. No. God's time is the best. And this recruitment, for me, it's a chain reaction. You see, government has employed. So look for those opportunities where those who've left apply. So when you are pushing in government, use your brain, don't give up. There's a lot of opportunity to come. All we have to do is to have faith and keep moving. Such is life. Mango taipila pamo. God's time is the best. Your time will come. Suicide is not the way to go. I rest my case, Chaza.
Thank you so much, Himba. We do greatly appreciate. We move on away from, teacher recruitment and also reactions to that, commendations and so on and so forth. We get to the next story and get to see you on the other side.
The 9th Law Conference and Annual General Meeting has officially opened in Livingstone. Lawyers attending the conference and AGM will be dissecting the role of lawyers in advancing the law as an instrument for economic growth, social order and justice. Chief Justice Mumba Malila officially opened the conference, also attended by Justice Minister Mulambo Haimbe. The Chief Justice has encouraged lawyers to be in the forefront in the fight against corruption.
And for as long as the conduct and character and commitment of lawyers at any level in eradicating corruption remains an issue, the corruption fight will remain elusive and our people consigned to perpetual poverty.
The lawyers have also been challenged to examine their conduct in the fight against corruption.
Is it not a matter of serious regret that we see lawyers in dramatically increasing numbers standing up at forums away from the courts, not to fight corruption, but to root for corruption?
Law Association of Zambia, LAS president, has urged lawyers to uphold ethics while pledging LAS commitment to the constitutional review process.
A constitution that stands the test of time, whims and politics, as it aims at highlighting the pivotal role a constitution plays as an instrument for economic growth, social order and justice.
Meanwhile, renowned constitutional lawyer Professor Munandulo has highlighted what needs to be done for Zambia to have a constitution that will stand a test of time.
The process in developing a constitution is as important as the content. If you don't get the process right, you will not go anywhere.
After officially opening the law conference, the Chief Justice visited the Livingstone Correctional Facility and Katumbura Reformatory School. Justin Akaklubelwa, ZNBC News, Livingstone.
Thank you.
There we are. There was that, annual general conference or meeting for the lawyers in Livingstone, and a number of issues, came out from there. I can see you've been joined by Lawrence right here on the program. Lawrence, good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Chaza. Good evening, Lance, and good evening to our viewers.
Great. Please go right ahead and get to react to that story.
I think it is a very vital point that the Honorable Chief Justice has made, that lawyers need to also take part in this fight against corruption, because I think we saw from the FIC report that came out not so long ago that claimed that lawyers were also taking part in covering up all these financial crimes and all that. What we're trying to say is that a lot of money actually was being disbursed by lawyers, which cannot be traced where it was coming from and where it was going. And the lawyers are being used to legitimize, to legalize the funds that are deemed to be proceeds of crime at this point in time. So what was happening in the past is lawyers were the ones even making payments for a lot of services and moving around with a huge sums of cash and keeping a whole lot of cash cash in bags and all that in their offices, which the financial institutions cannot account for at this point in time. That was a very bad precedent that was set by the law practitioners in this case. So we need the lawyers to also know their stance, because at this point in time, there is a general conception in this country that lawyers actually are up for sale. If you can offer them a good sum of money, they are able to defend you, whatever the case. They are able to help you hide and or maybe conceal some proceeds of crimes and all that. That is where I think the genesis of all this is coming from. At this point in time, we need a law association that is able to say no to money that is not rightly acquired. We need a law association and its members to be able to come out and say this is not right, no matter the cost or maybe no matter the price someone is willing to put up on their heads. I think that's what I can say.
Thank you so much, Lawrence. We do appreciate your point of view there. Lance, what's your say? What's your reaction to this story? Your mic is on mute, Lance. Kindly unmute and give us your viewpoint.
All right. Thank you so much, Chaza. I tend to disagree with Mumba Malila. You know, corruption cannot be ended by lawyers. That is a very wrong perception. Corruption is ended by an individual from a household level. Corruption does not happen from offices. It doesn't start from offices, Chaza. Corruption starts from the mind of an individual. You know, I had this discussion on radio the other day where we were talking about how best can we curb corruption. Believe you me, I had a caller who called in and talked about, you know what, corruption of these politicians is bad. But for somebody who is poor like me, that wants to get a service and then I know I can't get it unless I corrupt someone, is okay. That already is a problem, Chaza, because it hasn't come from a lawyer. It has come from a human being. It has come from a person that has no idea of the law, that has no idea of how the law works. So a simple me, if I conceive that idea of I can only attain a service, I can only achieve this if I get to bribe, I get to corrupt someone, then believe you me, lawyers will do whatever in their power. Corruption will not end. So corruption needs to end from a mindset of a human being, a simple being. Let's not categorize the fight of corruption, or let's not categorize corruption in a group of people just because these are people that represent other people that commit white collar crimes, and then we want to say these are the only people that can end corruption. No, corruption can be ended by a simple me that don't know law, that don't understand law, but a simple me who believes that I can only get a service if I pay for it dubiously. I can only get a service if I go through the back door. If that mindset is twisted and changed, only then will corruption end. But if you do not touch on me, who thinks getting something, nufunka na oshako something, na oshako kantukenangu, corruption will not end. So lawyers will not end corruption. People that will end corruption is me and you, Chaza, who is a layman and who breeds this corruption. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lance. And looking at the same, statement, I think, at that particular time, he was addressing the lawyers. And contextually, he needed to speak to the lawyers to say, you people in this fraternity, you are the ones that can end corruption. Not necessarily actually excluding everyone else, but because he was particularly talking to this audience, this particular audience. As it were, if he was talking to the doctors or any other audience, I must believe that the same statement could have been said to say, you people gathered here, you are the ones that can end this vice. You are the ones that can end corruption. Because yes, I do agree with you, Lance, that indeed is a common man on the street and so on and so forth who actually pays, who actually corrupts the person in the office out there. So if we are talking to those people, we'll definitely get to address them as such. But as it were, lawyers were the ones that were being addressed. Not only that, lawyers, we know, you and me, we know that lawyers are expected, to behave or to conduct themselves, professionally, and they are not expected to be found, in corrupt activities. I believe so. I'll throw it back to you, Lance. It appears Lance is not getting me. I will definitely get to request that we move to the next story and we get to wrap up on the other side.
Please don't listen to anyone who is calling for the ban of alcohol in Zambia. No. You can't.
Chaza, looks like we are back.
We are Zambians who are running these bars and nightclubs. We are feeding our families. We are surviving from this business. And over and above, these bars and nightclubs, we have created employment. We are paying tax to government. And we are running legitimate businesses. We are operating our businesses within the confines of the law. So there's no need for anyone to come and begin to walk to Chisamba there and go for the ban of alcohol. It is not going to work. And even us now, we are going to organize a march in support of Zambia breweries and others who are producing beer, so that we show them that what they are calling for is not going to work and will not allow it.
Okay, there. Right, there it is, a protest against, the submission that, alcohol should be banned in Zambia. So we have a reaction against the protest, that alcohol should be banned in Zambia. I can see we have Lawrence there and Rebet. Let me start, from Rebet. Rebet, your reaction to this story.
Thank you very much, Chaza. And good evening, Lawrence. Good evening, Lance, and good evening, viewers. I don't know whether you can hear me.
Yes, indeed. You are loud and clear.
Yeah. Indeed, we are living in a society that has got divergent views. So what is poison to you, Chaza, is food for me. So for me, I think the protest, really, when you protest that they should ban the alcohol, it's a kind of a mixed feeling, because if you look at the protest itself, it's a one-man protest. It's like today I wake up and say that actually I want the of course everything starts, it has got its beginning, but if you look at it, these are things that actually cannot actually change the way people live. Maybe what we can advocate for is to put stringent measures that will actually reduce the intake of alcohol. Not to say necessarily to ban it completely, because when you are banning it, it means that it will become an illegal one to make beer here in this country. 2, it will be illegal to see people drink beer. The way the laws that are there for marijuana, you cannot grow it and you cannot take it. So if you are advocating to ban the alcohol, it means that 1, you are completely doing away with it in terms of production. 2, you are completely doing away with it in terms of consumption. So for me, my take maybe would be, if we advocate that, let's reduce the intake, but not completely, because if you say completely banning, believe me, there are a lot of people that actually are employed through alcohol production. So what will happen to those people? They will definitely go back to the streets. Then we are losing, because this at this time now, this government actually is promoting that they need to create more jobs, not only in government, so even in private sector. And I know that the government does no breweries. So the brewery is conducted by the private sector. So there are other sisters and brothers that are actually employed in this sector. Now, when you are advocating to ban this sector, it means that we are rendering those people jobless, and it's a drawback. So I think that's my take. Thank you so much.
Okay. Mr. Ribet, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It seems that Chaza has frozen there, but I think I agree with your point of view in this instance, where we cannot completely ban the substance. But for me, I understand the point which Dr. Sampa is trying to put across actually, and I think I have seen the adverse effects of alcohol, and I've seen people who have undergone rehabilitation, and I know people are still in need of rehabilitation because of alcohol abuse. That's just how bad the alcohol abuse is currently in this country. But at the end of the day, I think the only thing we should do is come up with measures on how we can reduce on alcohol intake in people. I know it's not easy for someone to tell that my alcohol levels, intake levels are becoming alarming when you are the consumer of this product, because everybody feels they are good with it and they are strong with it, but it might not be the case. I feel we should come up with policies that would say, probably, I don't know, maybe say you cannot consume more than Shingoko bottles in a day or something like that. Beer cannot be consumed on such days, only on weekends, and on weekends there should be a limit on how much one can take, because at the end of the day we have seen a lot of diseases that people are going through because of alcohol. Because of alcohol, families being broken because of alcohol, jobs being lost because of alcohol. A lot of negative effects are going on in the compound there because of alcohol. I think that is my take. Lance, are you there?
Definitely, I am here. Thank you so much, Lawrence. I cannot agree more with you. What we need to advocate for is the less intake of alcohol and like banning it, as Rebate has said. You can't ban. In fact, banning it is not even the way to go. What we should be advocating for is the abuse of alcohol should be penalized. That's what we should be advocating for. If you abuse alcohol, let you be penalized. You take more than I don't know that word Lawrence said, is it shambolic or shambo thingy bottles? You take more than that, you get penalized. These are the things we need to be advocating for, unlike advocating for the total and complete ban of alcohol. I think I rest my case. I know we are overrunning in terms of time. Chaza, back to you if you are here.
All right, thank you so much, Lance. I do greatly appreciate, and I do agree with you. You know, an issue to do with alcohol intake is something that is incumbent upon an individual, because alcohol is just like any other food. Because even food itself, if you abuse it, it becomes a problem. So an individual should actually have, the ability to think, how much they should take, and if they should take alcohol or not. Because if it comes to driving, for instance, there are, rules or laws that are saying don't drink and drive. And when you look at the alcohol packages, they will actually, indicate that alcohol is not good for your health. You look at even cigarettes, you read there, they'll tell you that, smoking is dangerous and smoking can kill you. But they are still, producing and still selling. So it is incumbent upon an individual, to make such decisions. And when you look at the economy itself, the million-dollar question is that, can we really survive in terms of the economy if we were to ban alcohol? Probably that person who is even protesting does not know how much alcohol production and selling contributes to the economy. I think for now, due to time, we may end here. And, we'll look forward to actually having, a point of view next week. Thank you so much, Lance. You've been great. Rebet, not forgetting Lawrence, Himba, and other people that have been with us. It's been a great, show this evening. On the other side, we get to the match, between Morocco and South Africa. For now, we're saying God bless you all. Thank you so much for listening and watching. Till next time, goodbye.